Welcome to Roaming with Restless Women, real talk with wise, dynamic women leaders. I'm Julie Noonan, your host, CEO, and founder of Intuitive Wisdom Coaching, and I'm living my dream life. I live and work in my RV, coaching senior women leaders as they navigate corporate politics, family drama, and personal goals to live their own dream lives. These women are restless. They are never done seeking new opportunities, learning, and ways to create value in the world. If you'd like to apply to be a guest, stick around to the end of the show and I'll let you know how. So let's go. Here we go. Hi, and welcome back to Roaming with Restless Women. Today, I have an extraordinary guest. Dr. Mary Kelly is an amazing, accomplished person. She has 5 roles, or she has had 5 roles in her life, still has 4 of them, I believe. And we're going to be talking about her journey today. So Dr. Mary Kelly, Commander Dr. Mary Kelly, is a funny leadership economist. That's an oxymoron in itself. A graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, Mary served 21 years on active duty in intelligence and logistics, mostly in Asia. A Mensa member, Mary earned a PhD in economics, taught at the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and for the graduate school for Colorado State University. Her focus is on poverty alleviation, which is why she is a capitalist. Author of 20 business and leadership books, including 5-Minute Leadership Guide, Money Smart, Why Leaders Fail, and the 7 Prescriptions for Success, Who Comes Next, Leadership Succession Planning Made Easy, and her latest book, You Next, is focused on young professionals who want to further their careers and take charge of their lives. She's a multidimensionalist, a speaker, author, commander, business consultant, and professor. So welcome, Mary.
You're so kind to say that. Multidimensionalist makes it sound like, I'm really far more interesting than I am. I think our roles, instead of defining us, we get to explore these great roles.
Yes.
And once we figure out what we're good at, isn't it amazing that we get to use those strengths in so many interesting areas?
Absolutely. I firmly believe in exploring. Absolutely. I've had several different careers, but usually there's one thing that kind of pulls them all together. It's the one thing that jazzes you up. What is that one thing for you?
I love growth. I love growth outside with plants. I love people growth. I love business growth. I love profit growth. I love the idea that we don't settle for status quo, that we're always pushing the envelope just a little bit. How do I get even better every single day? And I don't know about y'all, but listenership, I am decades away from being in my 20s. And when I was in my 20s, I used to go to the gym to be faster and better and stronger. And now I go to the gym to not get worse. And I don't go to the gym often enough, but it's just to not get worse. Because so many times status quo means settling for what you have. And day by day, that actually starts to make us worse. So I think the challenge is, how do we grow just a little bit? You don't have to make huge steps, huge little changes, just a little growth every single day.
Absolutely. Well, and it makes it so much more it makes you so much more able to actually reach those milestones that you want to get to. It's just baby steps.
And this is something you and I both see with folks, is they need help identifying their goals. And, we ask people, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And the answer is, I don't know. That is a very truthful, honest answer. When people say, I just don't know where I want to go. And part of our roles as coaches and consultants and all that is to help people figure out not just what direction you need to go in, but where do you want to go? And what would define success if you had it? A lot of times people get on this treadmill, this little hamster wheel, and they don't know, hey, you've done it. You're successful. This is good. And it's good enough if you want to settle for what you are, So helping people find and define goals, I think, is a critical element of life.
It is. It is. And I love helping people do that, as do you, obviously. So what's the most challenging thing for you about being an entrepreneur, when you left the service, happy Veterans Day, by the way.
Thank you.
When you when you left the service, what made you want to start your own business?
Well, I grew up in a small family business. My dad started a company and late in life, very late in life. And I worked that company when I was a kid. I used to work, I loved going to the office with him. I loved working the trade shows. I loved the sales aspect of it. My parents left, you couldn't do this probably today, but my parents would leave me alone to man the booth when they had to, walk around and do other stuff. So there's little Mary with her little pigtails, little pad doing orders and things like that. And and I just thought this was a natural progression. And then the military,
Mm-hmm.
today is Veterans Day when we record this, and I'm so, so grateful because my older brother, his wife, me, my husband, my sister, her husband, my younger brother, everybody's military. And so for us, this is just something we did. It's not a big deal. It's not the whole thank you for your service thing. We appreciate it every time, but really, it's an honor and a privilege to serve in our nation's military. And we all really feel that way. We were all very fortunate. We had great military experiences and careers, and we all came back, and not everybody gets to say that. So when I left the military, I knew that I had certain military characteristics that might lend themselves well to being an entrepreneur, but I wasn't exactly sure. And as I talked to you before earlier, Julie, I told you, I started the business not realizing it was going to be hard. And partly it's, our brain will put up obstacles. When you think running a marathon, no, I can barely run a mile anymore. Like, come on, a marathon, that's just crazy. Your brain naturally puts up obstacles because our dinosaur brain, our limbic system, wants to protect you. So it says, no, 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 you don't need to do that. That's a bad idea. So our dinosaur brain is working against us, our own brain, but worse, our friends and family are the worst detractors because they're saying, oh, remember when you tried to start that lemonade stand when you were 5 and that didn't work. So what makes you think that you can run a business now?
Exactly.
I've come a long way since I was 5 years old. I've picked up a few things along the way, and all the failures make you better, and you know what to do now. So you can't listen to your own brain, and you can't listen to your friends and family. And then people say, Mary, who do you listen to? And I say, listen to the people who are going to be pushing you just those little bits forward. Listen to the people who are going to push you forward, because you are capable of so much more than your dinosaur brain and your friends think you are. So you can't listen to them. You just have to look around and go, okay, I'll give it a shot, and be reasonable about it. But also know that giving it the shot, when I started the business, I said, I'm going to do this for 3 to 5 years. And if it works, great. If not, I'll do something else. I didn't rely on plan B, but I had an option. I was like, okay, if this doesn't work, I can do something else. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And for many people, they say, well, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Yeah, you have to think about those things. But then you also have to consider what's the best that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? And chances are really good. The worst that could happen is the business fails. Okay. The best that could happen is it's successful. Okay. Guess what? You can live with both options, but you also have to work the business, because if you're going to give it a shot for 3 to 5 years, you can't just sit around the first 2 years and just magically hope business will show up.
Exactly.
You gotta work the business.
Exactly. And as we were talking before, that one of the things that is difficult is when you start out and you're immediately successful and you don't work on your basics, which is the trap that I fell into. So, it's not hard, but you do have to pay attention. As you were saying, you have to consider all these things. Thank you so much for that.
And I don't know about you, but I initially sort of confused business with dating. And let me tell you how.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of like dating, where if somebody says, wow, I really want to work with you, I thought that meant we were going to work together. And somebody would say, great, I'll call you. I thought that meant they were going to call me. Yeah. See, that's not how it works in business. No,
No.
no. When somebody says that, that means they might be interested in exploring a possible business relationship, but they need you to follow up like a hungry dog. And
Yes.
that's all on us. And those were the mistakes. The biggest mistakes I made early on was I did not follow up enough with
Mm.
interested people. And I did not maintain that database of a list of people. And I don't know about you, 16 years I've been doing this, and I still have drawers of business cards of people early on who gave me their card and said, Mary, call you, I'd really like to work with you. And I gave them my card too. And they said, the responsibility is on me. It's not our clients' jobs to stay in touch with us. It's our job to stay in touch with them. And yet I have this drawer of business cards that I'm consumed with guilt because I didn't follow up with them in the early years because I didn't know that you're supposed to do that more than once. Back in
Mm-hmm.
the old days for sales, it would take 3 to 5 to 7 touch points before somebody commits to a sale.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 15. And yet most of us stop
Wow.
contacting. And most of us stop contacting people after one try. We're like, oh, they're just not interested. Okay. No,
Yeah, I'm not going to bother them.
I'm not going to bother them. And
Right.
so how I got over that in my head was, and one of my friends says, Mary, could you help those people? I said, oh yeah. I said, I can see their business solution more clearly than I can see what's on my kitchen table. I can see it. So I only have two superpowers. One is I can see business. The other one is, well, I drink like a sailor. Let's admit.
Hey, I'm with you there.
See, there's that IR1. So I can see that. And they said, so why would you do them the disservice of not staying in touch with them? And it shifted my focus. I went, oh, so they said, you can help them. If you don't stay in touch with them, you will never be able to help them. And you're kind of being kind of a jerk in the process. And it shifted how I looked at that. I'm the one who's kind of a
Yes.
jerk for not staying in touch because if I can help you and I don't let you know I can help you, yeah, I'm kind of a jerk. And all of a sudden I
Yeah.
went, I'm not a jerk. I'm not a bad person. They're like, right. So act like a better person. Shifted everything for me.
Well, and I don't know about you, but when you get to a point where you need something in a bit in business and you think maybe you need a skill set or maybe you need another idea or you need somebody to bounce something off of and you don't have it right there, of course, you want to be there when they have that need. You want to be the first thing in their head because you've stayed in touch with them and they know that they need that help, and there you are.
And and we get complacent. And you said it. When you're busy and successful, you tend to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you look down the road 6 months and you say, oh gosh, I suddenly need some more business. And why do I not have business? And it's because we took our foot off the gas.
Yep.
And this is why being an entrepreneur is so great because you're rewarded based on the work you do. When you do the right work at the right time, you get rewarded with more and more profitable business. And when you don't, you don't. It's such a great, solution to the problem. It's such a great equation. And yet so many people struggle with it.
They do. And the thing about it is, I think they several years ago they tried to put pay for performance into
Mm-hmm.
corporate America, and therefore you got paid based on what you actually delivered, and people just rebelled, just totally rebelled against it. And I was thinking, well, isn't that why we're working?
I mean, you kind of should be working. One of the things the military, I think, taught me that a lot of people maybe didn't have
Right.
was I use checklists for as many things as possible
Hmm.
because a checklist gives you the next thing to do. And this is where I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle. And they wake up in the morning and they look around and go, okay, I know I need to hustle some business. I know I need to make contact with people. I don't know where to start. I don't know who to start with. And maybe they had the idea, but they're not sure what to do. So when in doubt, again, our limbic system kicks in and we do absolutely nothing. We do zero.
Or
If
all
we,
we do is see all the obstacles, like you were saying.
that's right.
Yeah.
because our brain will focus on those obstacles. So I create checklists for every single thing that we do in my company. And everybody's like, oh, how do you create check? Well, first off, you don't have 95,000 pages of checklist. For one thing you want to accomplish, you have one checklist. So every single day, and I'll just flash it to you, I have a productivity sheet every single day. So today's, Monday with today's date, it's the calls I need to make, the follow-up I need to do, my to-do things, and then my appointments for the day. Not tomorrow's, just today's. And at the end of the day, I look at it because it's very manageable. It's one page. I can go, oh yeah, that one thing I didn't do. Let me go do that. And then there's some days where, like everybody else, I need a win. So I'll be chewing the gummies while I write down, take my vitamins. I'm chewing the gummies at the time. I need a win. I need to cross something off the list. We're all that way. We all need things to cross off the list. We need to have that positive reinforcement. And if you're walking around with a to-do list that is 90,000 pages long, it's overwhelming and your brain goes, I can't do it. And of course you can't do it. Nobody could do that. Nobody could do that. So we have to break it down and into manageable things day by day. And that consistency is the day by day. And when I talk about the consistency, I learned it from some of my fellow speakers and consultants. One guy named Mark LeBlanc said, you wouldn't take all your vitamins on the last Friday of the month. What makes you think you can do all your sales calls on the last Friday of the month and have it be effective?
Right.
And I thought, oh, that's a good point. That consistency is huge. And it's doing the little things consistently every single day that matters. You do the follow-up, and it makes it. And on the plus side, every little one is a manageable chunk. The problem is when you have to jump from one to one to one, the challenge there is staying focused because there's all those rabbit holes you can go into. There's all those other things you can do. I can go explore this and I can go explore this. And all of a sudden the day is gone and you've accomplished nothing. So the hardest thing I think for entrepreneurs is, as we talked about, figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go, and then putting the action steps in place of what you need to do to get there.
So I have a question for you then. Okay. Because a lot of people that I speak with, a lot of my clients say, it's just, there's so much swirling around in my head. I don't know what to do first. Everything is important. There's, I want to do these things. I really hate doing these things, but I have to do these things. How do you determine on a daily basis what proportion of the day you spend in these different areas and that sort of thing to make your checklist then?
Exactly. So there's the 4 Ds. Do it, play it, decide it, or delegate it. So
I love
people
that.
Do it, delay it, decide it, or delegate it. Now, a lot of my entrepreneurs say, Mary, but I'm a one-person show. That's okay. You can still delegate. You get a virtual assistant service so that the things that you are not good at doing, you farm out to other people. They do a better job than you do anyway, and they come back to you. If you had to do it yourself, guess what? You would procrastinate and never get it done. If it takes less than 5 minutes, you do it right away. Most important thing, though, is the most important thing you can do every single day is the thing that's going to make you money. That's it. That's what you do. So you look at all the things that you think you have to do. Okay, I got to do that marketing piece. I got to do that sales piece. I'm going to make those sales calls. I'm going to do those things. Oh, I've got to do this. And then you look at your dog and you go, I got to wash the dog and I got to empty the dishwasher. Because let's face it, those are all in our head too.
Oh, yeah.
You wake up every morning and you say, okay, the thing that I'm going to do first is the thing that's going to make me money. And then after that, you can go to the quick wins, the 5-minute things, the things that you can do in 5 minutes. When I say delay it, I mean, if it's important, you schedule it. You put it on your calendar and say, I'm going to do that at 10 o'clock. And then 10 o'clock comes around and you magically do it because it's on your calendar. You have to believe your own calendar. And then you delete the things that really aren't important. Think of how much garbage we spend time on every single day. We waste time on social media. We waste time in our emails. We waste time with things. There's just a lot of things we waste time on. And so one of the tricks, and I learned this from my friend, Beth Z, your nerdy best friend, she says, go into your email and go into the subject, the search bar, and type the word unsubscribe. and see how many things you can unsubscribe in 2 minutes and start every day that way for like a week. And it's amazing how fast you can clear out some of the junk
Oh,
in your email. I know, just a quick trip, just a quick tip, just clear stuff out. Stop seeing hundreds and hundreds of emails. I also use an email AI sorter. I've done this for, oh gosh, probably 6 or 7 years. I use a tool that sorts my emails for me. So
mhm.
anything important goes into my priority box. So I'm not seeing 500 emails every single morning when I wake up, because then you got to sort through
Yes.
them, and then you don't want to miss something. And when my friend first talked to me about this, I said, "But you don't understand. I can't miss an email." She's a Hollywood producer. She goes, "Mary, do you think I can?" I'm like, good point. Sometimes we think we're just all that in a bag of chips, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's like, whack, whack, like a cat. She's like, whack, whack. No. So it sorts it for me. So I have things that go to my priority box, things that I can look at later. So it's things I do need to pay attention to, but not right away. And then I've got newsletters, because I do need to keep in touch with the
Yeah.
companies I consult for. I need to be seeing their newsletters. I need to be seeing what's going on. I want to see the news. I follow economic data every single day because I'm an economist, but that can all be done later. It doesn't need to be done first thing. First thing in the morning I have to pay attention to are my clients. So I want them to be top of mind in my email. So the
Yep.
people in my email, my clients and my family. That's it. That's it. So sometimes if I don't know you, it might come into the later box and I'm like, oh yeah, that needs to be moved into the important box. But it's a way to not get, and I don't like the word overwhelmed because we're capable of a lot, but
Mhm.
it's a way to sort our time and triage our email so
Mhm.
that our email works for us, instead of, which is mostly the case, our emails are other people tasking us. Either read this or do this or something like that. No, we
Right.
need to control of our emails.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And thank you for that tip. I'm going to do the unsubscribe thing for sure. Oh, drives me nuts. Okay, so tell me about a big transition or a big challenge that you've faced in your career and what you learned from that experience.
Well, what might surprise your listeners is I've been widowed twice,
Oh,
twice.
I'm
And
so
the first,
sorry.
thank you. I was very lucky. I've been very lucky my entire life to have amazing men in my life. And I was very lucky to have each one of them for 15 years. Very, very lucky.
Wow.
But what I learned going through that, and cancer got both of them, totally different kinds of cancer, was first, our life on the planet is a finite number of unknown minutes. So we really have to maximize that time. And then the second thing it taught me is, yes, you can be sad, but it does not have to define the rest of your life. So you can be depressed, you can be sad, you can have setbacks, because it's a gut punch, and it's a gut punch for a year. And all of a sudden you go, okay, the first year was rough. And now I need to
Yeah.
pick myself up and dust things off and push forward. That's why I think your question in the beginning about growth is so important, because it's so easy to wallow in self-pity and sadness and be sad. And the
Mhm.
only person who can grab us out of there is us. And I remember the first time somebody says, wherever you are, you're 3 steps ahead of somebody else. And I was only a couple weeks into being a widow the first time. And I remember thinking in my head, the voices in your head that argue, I was thinking, I'm not ahead of anybody. And somebody's like, no, remember, somebody is just now going through what you went through 4 weeks ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so we have to look around and go, okay, I might feel like I'm in a hole, but other people have been in the hole too. And how'd they get out of the hole? And it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that you then spend the next 40 years searching for the magical answer. It means you make a decision that day. Okay, I'm going to take a couple steps to get out of the hole. And what it taught me was, life is full of disappointments. Life is full of knockdowns. And it's what you do after, you get the knockdown. I don't know, was it Sugar Ray Leonard or Muhammad Ali or somebody who said, a plan is great until you get punched in the face. And it's what you do after that that determines what happens next. And the reality is, a lot of times you get punched in the face, and everybody who's successful, it just looks like their world is so magical and so easy. It's not.
No.
Everybody's been punched in the face.
Well, and the nice thing about it too is when you get that gut punch or when you get that face punch, you're not alone.
No.
There's always, because I have been clinically depressed my entire life. So I'm on medication and stuff. So anyway, but when I would be in that depressed state, it felt like I couldn't get out
Right.
myself. But I always had support. I always had someone to talk to help me out of that state. So it's not that you have to do it all by yourself. There are people that can help you if you know where to go for support. It could be your best friend, it could be your family, it could be, a therapist. But the bottom line is there are ways to get through those gut punches. You don't have to do it by yourself.
And you have to reach out. You have to be open to
Yes.
saying, I need a little help. I don't want you to carry me forever. I just
Right.
need to know where to go to get the help I need right now. And so many people, I'm so glad that the mental health world has shifted because, our
Oh, me
brains
too.
are just chemical things. And, if there was something wrong with your liver chemically, you would take medication to fix it.
Mhm.
And you'd figure out different medications and try different things to figure out what was going to help your liver. Why do people think our brain is any different? And I remember when, a doctor said, well, a couple months after my first husband died, who said, well, you're clinically depressed. And I was like, well, I'm sad. I think I have the right to be sad. And he's like, well, here, take medication so you're not sad. And I'm like, well, I think part of the grieving process is going through sadness. And I think I'm
Mhm.
okay going through the sadness as long as, and it was debilitating. You want to lie on the floor and curl up in a ball and not move.
Yeah.
But at the time I was still on active duty and they kind of frown on that. Like you can't just crawl up in at work under your desk. You can't do that. And then gradually it's just one foot in front of the other. And it's
Yeah.
walking into somebody else's office and going, I'm having a bit of a hard morning. And then they would look at me and go, but you'll get through it. You really will. And you're like, oh,
Mhm.
I guess I will. Okay. Again, sometimes your worst enemy can be your own thoughts. And
Oh, absolutely.
and you need that other person to go, you've got this. You've got this. And when somebody once said, you're doing this, you're doing so well. I'm like, I'm not. It takes everything I have every single day to get out of bed, take the dogs out, get myself showered and dressed. I mean, this is what depression looks like. And this
Right.
person goes, but you're doing it every single day. And I'm like, oh, I guess I am. Like sometimes we,
Yeah.
we don't give ourselves credit for
Mm-mm.
taking that one step. And so many things look like Mount Everest from our perspective. We just look up this huge mountain and it's impossible. And if we look down, we see, oh, you know what? It's just a step. It's just a speed bump. We can get over this. And this is why we need good coaches and consultants and good advice. And we
Yes.
need to get rid of all those naysayers in our head, including our own brain that tells us, oh, no, 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 you should just wallow in sadness. It's okay to be depressed. And in fact, we'll give you more attention if you are depressed. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, I don't want to feel this way. I want to be productive. I want help. And it means that I want to take those next steps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's move on to one question that I have about wisdom. How do you think we get wisdom?
Okay, so I think wisdom comes from experience, and a lot of experiences is making dumb decisions.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, I mean, I hate to say that. I would love to say, go on a mountaintop, meditate for 3 days, you're gonna have all the
Right.
answers on the planet.
Right.
But it's the same as when we're kids. We tell a kid, don't touch the stove because the stove is hot. And what's the first thing the kid does? They touch the stove because they haven't figured out what that means. And sometimes we just don't know what that means. So I think wisdom comes from experience and experience comes from some dumb decisions. And as long as you live through some of those stupid choices, you're going to be okay. But as my father used to say, Mary, you're not going to live long enough to make all your own mistakes. So you do need to learn from other people's.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's
Mhm.
perfect. Oh, wow. Okay. So, on the topic of wisdom, I have three questions that I ask all of my guests at the end of every episode. The first one is I'll have you close your eyes for just a moment. And describe the picture that appears in your mind when I say wise woman, and then open your eyes and describe her for me.
Wise woman. Somebody who is over 50 with other young women around her who are asking her questions because she has all the answers. I was on a plane very recently, and this young lady next to me was just going through a thing.
Oh,
And I said, does your mom have friends? She was about 25, 28 years old. She goes, yeah. I said, your mom's friends have all the answers to all of these issues. I said, you need to go talk to them because they have all the answers, and go listen to them. They will tell you the right thing to do.
I love that. I love that. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is to encourage younger women to listen to these podcasts and hear our stories and learn from them, as well as continue to make the dumb decisions so that they can learn from their own experience. You can't just use other people's, that's for sure. So where do you like to roam?
I love travel. In my job, my capacity, I'm on the road 15 to 20 days a month as it is.
Nice.
And I love it. Somebody's like, I travel a lot. I take, 10 flights a year. I'm like, okay, I'm on 25 flights a month. I get that that's a lot for you.
Yeah.
But I love travel. I love seeing new places. I think travel expands your brain. It it puts you in an uncomfortable situation, and you just got to figure stuff out. And
Mhm.
it teaches you to be independent. So I love travel.
Well, and the perspectives too, just the perspectives of other cultures, and other people. And we did a trip, my husband and I, we live in our RV and we travel all the time. And so, well, in the United States. And I had never seen some of our national parks. Amazing. And when you get to
So
go
amazing.
onto the top of a mountain or to the Grand Canyon, you look across, you realize how very small some of those things are that you've been worrying about. How very small. So that's beautiful. I love that. So, what makes you restless in a good way?
Oh, so that's such a good question. What makes me restless is there is such a need for us to step up
Yeah.
and do the right thing at the right time to the right person with the right spirit every time. And the Hawaiian word that defines that is called kina ole. It was coined by George Kanahele. Do the right thing at the right time with the right spirit to the right person every time. And the thing that shifts is the right thing to the right person isn't the same thing as the next person. So so it reminds us that every single person's an individual. Every single person needs respect and value in their own way. And it may not be the same way that you need respect and value, and that different opinions are okay. And in fact, they're healthy. And that's what makes magical things happen. That it's so easy for people to be polarized on one side of an issue or
Mm.
another. When in reality, there's a whole lot more that unites us than divides us. And we need every single day, we need to work at bringing people together. But there's just so much need on the planet. And as an economist, and you're kind enough to mention, I work for poverty alleviation on a global scale.
Yes, yes.
Which means I work to put clean water wells in places that don't have them. I work to get food sources into places where there's food insecurity. The last couple of years, our refugees worldwide, because of war and famine and distress and
Mm.
discord, over 200 million people. I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot of need out there.
Mhm.
And we used to have a scholarship program where I worked, and it was called To Whom Much Is Given, Much Is Expected. And when you are us, anybody listening to this podcast, you're us. We've been given a lot. We have been so fortunate. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of need out there. And yeah, you could sit around and do nothing. You could sit around and live a life of leisure if you wanted to, probably. And you could, but 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 where's the purpose in that? There's just so much need out there, and we're so blessed, and it's really incumbent on us to do more. If
Well,
you can, you do more.
100%, 100 million%. I think a lot of us don't realize, in this country, the poorest people in this country are better off than some people around the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, we really don't have any idea how blessed we are most of the time. So, listeners, here is the great thing. So Mary has some resources that are free for podcast listeners, and I'll let her tell you about that. And we'll also put it in the show notes. So Mary, what have we got here?
productiveleaders.com/podcast. These are a series of some of my best tools that I use with my entrepreneurs. And just because you're listening here today or on the recording, they are there for you. I want to make sure that we are helping each other with that growth, do as much as we can in the time that we have. And if these tools can help you, I'm excited about that. It's productiveleaders.com/podcast. And these are forms, checklists, things like how to just tweak your business a little bit, how to tweak your life a little bit, how to save time, how to have more time in the day, how to get the things accomplished you really want to accomplish, how to be a better leader, a better mom, a better wife, a better community leader, just how to just grow a little bit every day. So again, I've just made these things into checklists and forms. I write a bunch of books. Some of those are in there. And I'm just hoping that some of those resources will help you.
Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous. And I'm going to be out there looking at this as soon as we get off the call. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here with us. I really appreciate it. And ladies, you got the resources. We'll put them in the show notes, and we'll see you next time. Julie Noonan here. Thank you so much for listening to Roaming with Restless Women. If you're a successful senior woman leader who would like to be on this program, please visit podcastt.intuitivewisdomcoach.com. If you enjoyed this interview, please share this episode on social media and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and they mean a lot to me, my team, and most importantly, my restless guests. As a special gift to you, our listeners, I offer a free one-on-one 15-minute breakthrough session. Bring a problem and experience how coaching works to see if it could be of value to you. Sign up for an available time on my website, intuitivewisdomcoach.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.